Welcome to Water Talk with Paul the Waterman, brought to you by Water Pros. Paul the Waterman is Colorado's expert on all things related to the water we use and drink in our homes. Have you ever thought about where your water actually comes from? Is it safe to drink? Is it harmful to my health, my skin, my hair? Paul the Waterman knows water, and he has the answers. Haystack Help Radio proudly presents Water Talk. Now here's your host, Scott Watley, and owner of Water Pros, Paul the Waterman.
Old Ann and I, with throats burned dry and souls that cry for water, water, cool water, clear water, water.
All you ever do is bring me down, making me a fool all over town. They all wonder why I wear a frown. That's 'cause, honey, all you do is bring me down.
Once again, Paul the Waterman choosing the songs, and no better one.
All it ever does is bring me down, buddy.
All you do, dude. Every
Yeah.
Friday, you give me all these depressing
Bad
facts
news,
and-
water not safe to drink. It's not safe for human consumption. Depressing.
It is depressing, but there is an answer.
Water Pros.
Water Pros. All right. All you got to do is give Paul a call. He'll come out, do a free in-home water test for you, educate you on just your water. What do you need to have a home that's going to have healthy, clean water? And Paul, I tell you, we've been doing some social media scanning of late, both you and I, and been reading a lot on these neighborhood apps of different things. And there's some municipalities where, man, people are not being shy. One of them is Castle Rock.
Well, we knew that was going to be a problem, and I'm working on talking to the city. We're doing an email exchange, and I'm not finished. But when it's done, we're going to have a ton of information. So two things that got me with Castle Rock. One of the comments that you pointed out with the high chlorine content.
Mm-hmm.
So chlorine by itself is basically a carcinogen, but the byproduct of chlorine, trihalomethanes, is a carcinogen. But, when you're putting high chlorine content, it's there for a reason.
Right.
And so here's something else. They went away from chloramine, Scott. So chloramine was a chlorine ammonia mixture. They chose to go away from the chloramine and go directly to straight chlorine content. So then that means that chlorine dissipates out of the water supply too.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're going to have to inject a higher amount of chlorine content, knowing that eventually, as it travels, it's going to dissipate out of the water supply. That's just how it goes. So, those poor folks are at the very beginning of the water line, and the ones that at the very end have to have the level of chlorine content at the very end to
still
zap the
accomplish
bugs.
what they're wanting,
Exactly.
right?
So that means that there's folks at the closer to the water plant, they're going to have higher chlorine content, and chlorine will make you sick. How many times have I, asked the question, have you ever gone to, on a vacation and you're staying at a hotel, you get up and you get a glass of water, you lay back down and you have an upset stomach. It's drinking swimming pool water is what it is.
Well, and I've got the post, I think I sent you a picture,
Yeah.
where somebody said, my kids are sick, our stomachs feel bad.
And the skin irritations are going to be are going to increase. Eczema is going to increase. So yeah, the kids get sick. High chlorine content is not healthy. So one of the things that I'm going to ask the question, and I'm working on, is the city of Castle Rock on their website says we remove pharmaceuticals. I think that's irresponsible because, number one, nothing's 100%. You can never say that a filter is 100% foolproof. You can say it's 99.99%, but you should never say 100% because nothing's absolute in water filtration. But the other thing is they're chemically treating the water, and when you chemically treat the water, there's a byproduct. Where are they doing that byproduct after chemically treating? Goes right back into the aquifer, goes right back into the Platte River. So whatever they're doing to treat the water, they're basically then, in my opinion, are they paying attention to what they're dumping into the water where some other community will grab it?
Mm-hmm.
This area is so big that multiple agencies use the same water resources. So does Castle Rock dump their byproduct, their contaminant, their chemical, if they're chemically treating the water, if they're chemically trying to suspend minerals in the water, then that has to go someplace. So that's going to go right back into a water source. Let's say the Chatfield, just may not be, but let's just say that for discussion purposes. So then when Denver pulls that out to use it, or Highlands Ranch pulls that out to use it, they're basically having to deal with Castle Rock's byproduct.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
So that's what I want to get to the bottom to, and so we'll be bringing that up and having that for a future program.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you a question. If you think about, they're not taking a 5-gallon bucket of chlorine and pouring it in this thing. These have to be like, I would think, dump trucks full of.
It's dump. How many people live in Castle Rock?
That's what I mean.
Okay,
yeah,
absolutely. So you and it's injecting it as it goes into the water. So as the water goes, so does the chlorine content.
So those people, like you say at the first, and that may be why this one person said, our water smells like a public swimming pool.
That's exactly, well, that's it. And so the byproduct that trihalomethanes, are created. So this is something that, in Castle Rock, is reusable water.
Right now, they say at the end of 2025, about 90,000.
90,000 people.
Right.
So 90,000 times that times 100, right? Is that 9 million, right? Times 100, 9 million gallons of water, roughly, you say? That's a low ball estimate. 9 million gallons of water a day. That's a low ball estimate. Mm-hmm. So it's more because other areas, municipalities have, but let's just say in minimum they're treating 9 million gallons of water a day. Can you imagine what the flow rate has to be? So, at 9 million gallons, they're sending that all through the city, and with the chlorine content. So how much chlorine are you injecting? So if I'm doing 9 million gallons of water, am I doing 9 million gallons of chlorine content?
Man, we ought to buy stock in chlorine.
That's right, huh?
Paul the Waterman is with us. It is Water Pros. 303-862-5554 is the number. Again, 303-862-5554 for your free in-home water test. And Paul will come out. And again, I've talked to a few people lately about some water systems, and they've talked about how people are coming out, and they're basically techs that know how to install a system. Their knowledge of actual water or what's going on is limited. I'll put it that way.
So I don't think anybody educates their technicians like we do. We're eventually going to be where we're 100% master plumbers doing all our installs. And master plumbers, we do that for a reason. So there's we don't want mistakes. And so that's one of the reasons why we're going down that direction. Mm-hmm. Master plumbers have been doing this, and they're good at connecting pipe. But master plumbers, you have to educate them to understand water treatment, because water treatment is never, in my opinion, in the plumbing industry, has never been taken seriously. Right. So that's one of the reasons we want to educate. And another thing too I want to talk about today is there's a lot of water filtration systems out there that just don't work or don't do the job. It's impossible to do so. And I want to share two things with people right now. One, this is my opinion. There's a company called Aquasana and the company called Pelican. They advertise and sell water filtration equipment mainly it's all online. And when you do an online purchase on filtration equipment, they're not taking your current water chemistry at issue. This is just a generic mass product sale, if that makes sense. Another thing I want to talk about is you see a lot of shower heads being, advertised and sold on
mm-hmm.
TV. So, same premises. What's the water chemistry? On a side note, Aquasana and Pelican treat the whole entire house. Your shower heads, and I was talking to a lady that listens to our program earlier in the week. A shower head, that filter media, I'm willing to bet you, is not designed to function in high temperature. meaning water that's over 120 degrees. So, when you go to a restaurant, Scott, they make water softeners that are high temperature water softeners where the filter media is designed to function on water temperature over 120 degrees. But when you use other media like activated carbon, for example, at high temperature, you're basically turning that carbon to mush. And so if it turns to mush, it loses its surface area, it basically won't absorb and remove the chlorine content. There's other filter media they use. There's KDF 55 they put in these shower heads. So my question is, has anybody looked at that filtration media and said, okay, can it handle high temperature? Common sense is not so common anymore, but that's one of the questions we should ask. You go back to my product review of Pelican and Aquasana. I think it's irresponsible to say that the filter media will last over 1 million gallons of water because you're not knowing what are you filtering.
Right.
And the other thing, there's no such thing as salt-free water softeners or scale reduction. Now, scale reduction softeners or scale reduction media, let's call it that way. Two things. They work on really low hardness water. So if your water hardness is 3 grains or less, then a scale reduction, can help reduce the scale. But if it's over 3 grains of hardness, it's not going to function. There's other media out there that's called scale reduction media. They use in conjunction with the boiler units, commercial sized boiler units. It filters hot water. Same limitation. It can only work with 3 grains of hardness. So the other, on both these products that, my personal opinion with the review of them is their connections are not made to be reusable, meaning those filtration media has to be replaced. And so when you go to an Aquasana or a Pelican and you need to disassemble that to take out the old media to put in new media, the connections aren't sturdy enough to handle being reconnected. And people don't understand, when you have to take that apart, you disconnect it completely. Then you have to unscrew the cap. Then you have to take the time to dump the old media out. How do you do that? Well, you have to have water involved to rinse out the old media. It's going to be wet, sticky, and slimy. It's going to have all the contaminants that it's collected. So that's something that people have to take in consideration. When you get something like that in and you load up the filtration media, you're going to have to unload that same filtration media to replace it.
Right. Paul the Waterman is with us. Once again, it is Water Pros, 303-862-5554. Give them a call. Let them know you heard them here on Water Talk, and Paul will get you scheduled to come out, take a look, and Paul can help. If this is your first time to hear the show, you may think we're only talking about the residential type water. No, he can help you if you're on a well system as well. And, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we started the show talking about social media and all, and recently I've just been going through a lot of these neighborhood apps looking for folks talking about water, and Castle Rock has been just blowing up, so to speak, with people talking about their water smelling like chlorine and people are getting sick, different things. So I've answered a few of them, and we got in touch with one lady. I had put on there that we had bought Paul's system with Water Pros, and that we had a point of use RO system, had a water softener, and a lady commented back and said, hey, I have nothing but great things to say about Water Pros. Paul came out, and she's going to tell her story when we come back. But I'm just telling you, folks, there is help out there, and there's no use in putting up with bad water, all right, that's making your family sick. Give Paul a call now. It's a free water test. You can't go wrong. 303-862-5554. Like I say, we're going to hit this break, and when we come back, we're going to hear from a lady named Karen right after this.
How much do you need to lower your monthly mortgage payment? $200, $300, $400 or more? As rates decline, take AIM, Affordable Interest Mortgage, 720-895-0500. Over 24 years of saving Coloradans money. Low rates, lower payments, less costs. What makes us different is we listen. As an independent mortgage broker, we shop the top lenders to save you the most. Affordable Interest Mortgage, 720-895-0500. Want to purchase your next home? You can't qualify unless you sell your current home? Let us show you how to get the down payment out of your current home, qualify for the new one, and then sell yours for the most. Affordable Interest Mortgage, 720-895-0500. So you want to buy a home. Let us show you loans that can save you money, low down payment, first-time homebuyer specials, fixed rates in the 4s with buy-downs. Call for details, 720-895-0500, or apply now at aimortgage.net. That's Affordable Interest Mortgage, where it's all about you. Regulated by DORA and MLS 217147, Equal Credit Lender.
Need new glasses fast? With Stack Optical's on-site lab, you'll get your prescription glasses in just 3 to 4 days. No long wait times. Hey, this is Scott Watley, and I've trusted my eye care to Allen Stack and Stack Optical for the last 15 years. Eye exams are only $69, and that should be a part of your physical checkups each year. For over 50 years, Denver has trusted this family-owned boutique eye care center for premium vision care, custom eyewear, and expert repairs. See the Stack Optical difference today. Call 303-321-1578. That's 303-321-1578 and tell them Scott sent you. Stack Optical. Since 1968, at Stack Optical, you'll see the difference.
This is 560 KLZ, your home station.
Welcome back to Water Talk again. My name is Scott Watley. We are glad you're with us, Paul the Waterman, in studio. Now, I'm going to try to be a little transparent here. There's a lot of things on social media. I've seen a ton of things on these neighborhood apps, and people complain about their water. They're getting sick. They don't know what to do. Chlorine's in their water. I read one comment where it said, like, their water smells like a public swimming pool. I mean, all these different things. And I actually answered one post and just said, hey, we used Water Pros, and we did a water softener and a point of use RO system, and, man, it changed our life. And another recipient responded and said they had too, and had nothing but good things to say about Paul and Water Pros. And so I contacted this young lady. Her name is Karen. And we talked here a little while ago, and, boy, she said everything that we have been saying on this show for months and months and years, actually. And so, Karen, thank you for being on Water Talk. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Well, we are better because you're here. I'm telling you, you're going to be a big help to a lot of people, because I think a lot of times when people hear something on radio, they say, yeah, you guys are just trying to scare us about our water and all that, and you're just trying to sell water systems. And, hey, are we advertising? Yes. Are we promoting Water Pros? Yes. But you know what we're really promoting is healthy water for you and your family. And I'd love for you to tell as much of your story as you would like. You told me you came here from Florida, so even reflect back on what you had there with water and then moving here, and let's go through some of your concerns you were going through.
Okay. It's funny, I read the post that you said about the chlorine, and, social media is a really fine line, but I read the post about the chlorine, and I sat there thinking that, anytime you smell chlorine in your water, people only know what they hear from others, right,
Sure.
unless they're educated. And when I read that post, I thought to myself, oh, my gosh, because anytime you smell strong chlorine, just know that they're trying to get rid of something. And chlorine is not healthy to ingest. Even, saltwater pools became a huge thing in Florida because it soaks through your skin and your biggest organ and so on. So I read that, I think it was about a week or two ago, and I kind of cringed going, oh, and then I read, I think it was the last couple of days that people were getting sick. But, yeah, we moved here from Florida, had a system put in my home there. Always been huge on, finding out what's in our water. I was educated years ago about city water and what is actually allowed, in the water. People put medications down the drain. Women can put, they could do their fingernails and put acetone. There's the things that they put down a drain could be endless, and you have no idea. So I personally would never let my family ingest it. And we had a system where it didn't matter if it was the showers, anything, everything was filtered. And so we moved here. We lived in the city for a while, never drank the water, but we did drink bottled water. And that's another thing that I could go on a whole tangent about, it's the healthier than drinking the city, but there's a lot of plastics and stuff, and everybody carries bottles and leaves them in their car with the hot and cold. We had a Berkey briefly, Not sure during COVID how those were effective,
Right.
but we recently, the last 2 years, bought a house in Sedalia, and I started pricing a bunch of different companies to come out, getting everyone's advice. There was a system that a lot of people, was a name brand that a lot of people, because they only know what they hear, were referring to, and I found out that that wasn't a great system for us. There was a lady I reached out to on Facebook, and she said that she had the system put in, but it ended up not being, the most wonderful system because of her conditions or wherever it was that she lived. I don't remember. So she referred Paul to us. That's how we found him. And he was one of many that came out. And I'll be honest, he wasn't one of the least expensive, but I wasn't basing it off of price. He came out and spent such a huge amount of time with us. He tested our water right away. He listened. We had a small grandson living with us. My daughter had a lot of autoimmune issues. I had a younger daughter. He listened to what was going on in our family, and it wasn't just, oh, you need a UV or you need reverse osmosis or you need a water softener. We ended up needing everything, and his tests were real, and he covered every aspect of what we needed for our family, and it is the most wonderful water I have ever had in my life, and I trust it 1,000%. We have to invest in our health, and we also have to help each other. And I feel like this is something that, instead of being against each other, we need to help. We need to educate other people. We all need to drink water.
Sure.
Look at the amount of water you have to drink in Colorado coming from Florida. I'm awful in the afternoon if I don't drink my water during the day, and I'm not a good water drinker.
Me,
So,
like I told you, me either. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, honest to goodness, I could go a whole day and not drink anything. I can eat a meal and not drink anything. That's just my system, and that's not good for
Same.
you.
It's not.
But now, when you've got good, cool, clean water, I mean, it's delicious, and you look forward to drinking it,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how can we help? Okay, I'm so glad because, you're very intelligent. We can tell you picked Water Pros. Okay. Okay. No. But how do we get people to take this water thing serious, to realize it is a health issue? I told you before, a lot of terms they're using now in Castle Rock area and other areas, from the toilet to the tap, and they're going to be, like you say, if you smell a chemical, why is that in there? You said it perfectly. You need to do the show with us because you said it perfectly. They're trying to get something bad out to put a chemical in, and how much of that chemical is in there, and then the things that they're not even testing for that we know are in there. Like you and I were talking, the pharmaceuticals, we beat that drum every week here on the show, and we know the pharmaceuticals are there. But how do we get to the normal, everyday, housewife, husband, whatever, homeowner, to let them know that there are answers out there where they can take control of their water? How would you go about that?
I just feel like we need to be an advocate, like I said, for each other, our food, our water, everything. We need to educate each other. And this is something that, if number one, why are we having to put chlorine in our water to begin with? And they tell you a certain amount, it's in there always, and they say it's to protect you and clean you, but we're ingesting chlorine. And then to turn around, and when you start smelling where it smells like a swimming pool, there's even public swimming pools that if the chlorine's that strong, I'm like, I'm not getting in that water. There's no way.
I know, yeah.
Why is there that much? But I think just, I don't know, talking to people, educating people. Look, there's a lot of things I didn't know about our water, our food, and as I'm getting older, and I just hit 57,
I'm 10 years older than that, and I'm telling you what, you do figure it out, and you start paying attention to stuff as you get older. And when everything that we've given here on the statistics through the years with Paul on the show and everything, we tell people, this isn't something we make up to scare people or a sales tactic. No. This is true stuff that's going on in our water.
Karen, this is Paul. I wanted to say thank you for sharing your story and being on the program today. Thank you very much for that.
You're very welcome.
So I have a YouTube channel. It's called Paul the Waterman, and I put all our shows up and try to, spread the word to get people to listen. One of the things, to be very candid with you, it kind of got depressing when I realized all the contaminants are in our water supply. The EPA, did you realize the EPA has a laundry list of unregulated contaminants, and part of those contaminants are viruses and bacteria?
Yes.
And I believe COVID spread through the drinking water.
So do I.
And so COVID, COVID was like this invisible monster, and it just started devouring everybody, especially, the elderly that were in, retirement homes or nursing homes, and that's how it got there, is in our water supply. So it got to the point where I was like, man, this is depressing, and it's like, it's not doom and gloom, we can fix it. But, we got to get everybody to wake up and take this issue seriously. To me, that's the most important thing, because it's, all these contaminants are basically what they call now, it's bioaccumulation. It's not only in our water, it's in the vegetables and it's in the meat that we eat, because it's all over the environment.
Yes. Even when I moved in my house, you can ask my husband, he thought I was a little overzealous. I was buying huge bottles of water to boil, like if I had something to boil, I would not use the water to even cook, because if you cook pasta, it's absorbing, like you're saying, it's in everything. I don't understand when people aren't washing their vegetables, and I don't know. There's just the amount of contaminants that they allow legally into our system. If every one of us knew, it would probably scare the you-know-what out of them. Because
no, absolutely.
Legally, we're allowed a certain amount of, I could go into a whole rabbit hole of, triclosan, which is in the gutters of the streets. If you buy certain products, and people need to research this, it is in a lot of things that say antibacterial, but it's what's used in the gutters to kill down the bacteria. And a lot of these things that you're washing your hands with even go into our system. And then if you knew the way water was recirculated and cleansed, I don't think anybody would ever put a drop in their mouth, ever.
And you know what? You and I were talking earlier, I think before we came on air, that if everybody was really honest and wrote down everything they've ever flushed down the toilet.
Yes. That's what I'm talking
about. And then we talk about from the toilet to the tap. Dude, we would never drink water again.
They test our water when illnesses are going around. I've read that they test the water, and that's how they can tell certain viruses are active. And ugh.
That's it. That's how they know what kind of flu strain we're going to have, because it's in the water supply. That contaminant you just mentioned, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, and it's something that is again, it's all over the environment. It's not just in the water; it's in the vegetables that we eat and the meats that we consume. One thing I want to point out with this high chlorine content, guys, is that the byproduct of that is called trihalomethanes. And so when you have high chlorine content, you're going to have high trihalomethanes. And that's something I can guarantee you they're not meeting the EPA standard for that in our drinking water, and that's a carcinogen. That creates cancer. It's absorbed in your skin. So when you take a shower, it goes right through your skin. You're breathing it in the steam, plus you're drinking it. So that's another issue.
Yep.
Scary stuff.
And Karen, I appreciate it, and I don't mean to keep you so long, but one more question, if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
You said that you had some other companies out. You looked at some systems, but you did some research. Again, kudos to you for doing that. Most people don't. And Paul walks in many homes where they were sold a system that were never going to accomplish what that customer needed, and people just wasted money. That was the lady
I met.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
And
she had bought this name brand that could be a very good system. I'm not going to bash another company ever.
So what were the points? And again, I'm not into name calling systems or whatever, but I mean, what were the points about the system that made you come to that determination that was not the system for you?
Education. Paul, his education that he shared, that system could be good on maybe a house in the city. I was in a house in the city. It wasn't a good fit for the purifying my water and all the things that I needed for my home, because I'm on a well. We have the rivers, the aquifers, all that. So I was different than someone in the city, and I was even very careful last night when I had recommended when I saw his name and I commented, because I don't comment a lot on Facebook.
Right.
And when I commented back, I think somebody even said, "What did you spend on your system?" But I was careful, because what was a good fit for me may not be for someone else. And I don't want someone to see a dollar amount and go, "Oh," when they may not need all. I needed all three things or four things, whatever it was. That was a good fit for my family.
Right.
But I wanted them to be able to talk to Paul and get what was a good fit for them, because I don't work for him and I don't,
No,
I was careful about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Karen, you have been a joy and a delight to be on. You're welcome anytime on Water Talk. You're a great guest, and thank you for taking the time. And here's the thing, too, folks. You know, a lot of times you get well water, and people are often confused or may have the myth in their mind that, oh, they've got their own well, so their water's perfect. And, Paul, that's not true. And I don't want to tie up Karen's time for this segment, but well water folks need you to come up and do some testing too, don't they?
Well, absolutely, especially with this drought and with all the growth, well water quality will change. So it's something we definitely need to keep that in mind.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, Karen, thank you so much, and we appreciate it. And if we can ever do anything for you here on the radio show, we'll be glad to. So I'll be in touch with you, okay?
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you so much. That is a very smart shopper and lady there, Karen and Sedalia, that had Paul come out. And, Paul, I think one thing you'd be proud of here is the education side you brought.
Well,
that meant a lot to her.
Water treatment's not plug and play.
Yep.
So you definitely need to know what's going on with the water and then show them exactly what it is and why you're recommending what you're recommending.
Yep. We're going to take a quick break. More coming right back with Water Talk and Paul the Waterman right after this.
Turn a normal day into an adventure on an e-bike. Hi, I'm Randy Caranci, founder of E-Bike of Colorado. E-bikes are a fun way to ride around town. Just try it. Pedal assist technology flattens the steepest hills. We have 14 major brands to choose from, and our expert staff will find you the perfect bike. Come take a free test ride at E-Bike of Colorado in downtown Louisville next to the historic grain elevator. Open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Learn more at ebikeofcolorado.com. Just try it.
Looking to gear up for your next hunt, fishing trip, or camping adventure? Head to the Outdoorsman's Attic, Colorado's largest consignment store for hunting, fishing, and camping gear, located at 2650 West Hampden. Hey, this is Scott with Sportsman of Colorado Radio, and you'll find wall-to-wall outdoor gear to firearms and ammo. You'll find incredible selection at unbeatable prices, plus clothing over 90 days old is up to 50% off. So there's always great deals waiting. Whether you're upgrading gear or just getting started, the Outdoorsman's Attic is a must-stop. Mention Sportsman of Colorado for additional discounts. It's the Outdoorsman's Attic, where smart outdoorsmen shop. Tell them Scott sent you. It's 2650 West Hampden.
You're listening to 560 KLZ, your home station.
Welcome back to Water Talk. Paul Dowding is with us, the owner of Water Pros. 303-862-5554. Hey, call that number. And again, we want to thank Karen for her time. She does not know me. I just reached out when she wrote this on social media, how happy she was with Water Pros, and we are glad she came on. And, Paul, we could use the rest of the show dissecting a lot of her conversation. I think one thing was really stood out to her, just kind of picking it apart here and replaying it in my mind, is the education you brought. I think she had a lot of other salespeople ring her door or techs ring her door, but not somebody that knew water.
That's that's the difference between me and everybody else as we educate. And we've talked about this before, where a lot of our competitors, they rely on the demo. So the demo is one size fit all. Their presentation is not, strictly for well water, and then you have one for city water. It's one size fits all. It's a cookie cutter solution. One of the reasons why we became an independent and I didn't look for a franchise, well, Water Pros is not a dealer of this equipment, right? We design and deal directly with the manufacturer, because a lot of these franchisees, they don't want to deal, or they don't know how to deal with problem water. For example, we're dealing with a customer up north in Thornton, Scott, that's got carbon dioxide in the water supply. So, they're dealing with another name brand.
A lane brain.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Company that there's a couple things. When you're on well water, you have to take in consideration what is your water flow rate, okay. How many gallons per minute. And if it's not enough flow rate, then that means that there's other application systems that won't work. But they have high carbon dioxide. So what that means is when they turn the water on, pretty soon it's going to spit at them because there's air in the water. So that's carbonation. Carbonation is in their aquifer, and so the gas basically is lighter than water. So the gas is going to escape. It's going to run through the pipes, and it spits water at them. So how do you fix that? So they had a lot of companies come out. Every one of them, they had well drillers come out. All you need to drill a new well, or you've got a leak, in some place in the water line coming to your home, and they were wanting $20,000, $30,000, solutions. So I sat down and interviewed them, and they told me for many years they've had this issue, for many years. So what does that tell me for many years? Okay, one, if it was a compromised well casing and it's been 5 years or more, that well would have already collapsed. So the well casing basically, Scott, is that cast iron or steel sleeve that goes to the water itself at a certain depth, and then it's called the well casing. If that's compromised and it's been they don't once they get compromised, there's not the stopwatch is ticking. You don't have much time.
Right. Okay.
So it's not a compromised well casing, because again that would have collapsed in. It would have it game over. Second, they had someone come out and they raised the well and they over 15 feet. Or 150 feet, because each pipe section, when you're doing a well pump replacement, is about 10 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
So they checked 150 feet, no problem there. So that tells me then it's carbon dioxide. So what you have to do is you have to actually put a cistern in. Now I'm not a fan of cisterns, and they can cause problems. But this situation, you need the water to go into that cistern. Let that cistern fill up with water, and then you off-gas the carbon dioxide. Then you have to put an external pump on the cistern, and then the house will have normal water pressure. And so these are things that, we like to, these are problems that we'll handle. You can figure this out. Now, one thing I will say, we try really hard to get it right the first time. And there's some times that, we may miss something, or high iron content masks a problem that we didn't know that was there. Mm-hmm. But we can definitely handle that. We'll do our very best. I have learned that when you have a straight water cistern going, into a home and you have high iron content, a standard everyday resin-based water system won't take it, won't handle it. You have to do an iron filter. We have a customer off of Whippensburger Road in Castle Rock where he wanted a constant pressure system. And so the well company, puts in this holding tank and then gives him constant pressure. Then he has an external pump inside that holding tank. So the well pumps it to the holding tank. Then from the holding tank, another pump pumps it to the house. Well, he has extreme high iron content. And he had two backwashing iron filters that were installed, and they were just clogged. So I thought, okay, a dual tank water softener would work. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I was counting on the submersible pump basically pulling the water around it, but the submersible pump was at the bottom of that cistern. So we're going to have to go back out and add an iron filter for them and take care of it. But, it's just problem water. When you're doing well water and you're building a home, and, you really need to know the water quality. And if you have to have a cistern in, then, understand what the water quality is going into that cistern, and then what the water is going to do inside that cistern. Right. So, there's iron content, there's turbidity. And so those are, things that, you have to take in consideration, because it's going to be a little bit challenging. It can be done, but it could be a little bit more challenging fixing the water after a cistern that is loaded with problem water, if that makes sense.
Right. Another thing Karen mentioned was she had several companies out, and she said, there was one system she had heard a lot about. She did her own research, which, again, pat her on the back for doing that, because most people don't. They believe just a lot of advertising. And she said that was not the system for me. I'm not going to call names of companies or systems, whatever. We're not here to do that. Are there some decent systems out there? Probably, yes. Okay. But my point is, getting back to the education side, you have to know what's going on with the water to know kind of what system it needs.
So you're exactly right. So to be quite candid with you, any system out there, if it's used at the right application, can function. But what's happening is that a lot of people don't take the time to understand the water quality, so they make a recommendation that ends up being the wrong application. Mm-hmm. It's not the system itself, it's the wrong application. Scott, water softeners all work the same. You can have any name brand, that you see at the box store, at Home Depot, at Lowe's, the guy that, I'm not going to advertise, but, let's just, say it. You got Culligan, you got Echo Water, you have Rain Soft. And then we have Water Pro's product line. They all work the same. The difference is, out of those products, are they applied properly?
Right.
And then the second is that, there's some systems out there, Scott, that you can't set the salt dosage properly. So then if you don't set the salt dosage properly, you're not going to get enough detergent. So everybody out there, okay, their system, basically the resin and the salt, it's the same thing. The difference is that the knowledge behind what they're recommending, and are they recommending something that's going to function, for what your water quality is. And that's what, I said, a couple of minutes ago. A lot of these companies are just basically cookie cutter solutions. For example, one of the things that we want to do is be not only the best product, but for affordable. And we saw on social media this week that there's companies out there charging $8,000 for a system, starting at $8,000. Now that's almost on par now for a furnace replacement. And then some of those companies are adding, you get a hot water heater thrown in the mix. Well, let's think about this. That's not free, right? So you had a hot water heater, reverse osmosis, and a water softener at $8,000. That's still too much, in my opinion. That's at least $3,000 to $2,000 way too much. Mm-hmm. So there's an illusion of a great deal, and then there's reality of a great deal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. And here's the thing, and we've really never done anything free. And I'll be honest, who taught me this? Jake Jabs, when I was with Get American Furniture and worked for Jake. Nothing's free, folks, all right? If they're throwing in, any company that's throwing in something free, they're not putting a value to it. You know why? Because they're making it up somewhere. I mean, cutting back somewhere else. Nothing's free.
That's exactly right. Thank you. The other thing, the biggest gimmick out there, these companies these companies, if you go to a big, these big grocery stores like a Costco or not Safeway, Sam's Club. Okay, any company associated with them that come out and test your water, they don't work for Costco. They don't work for Sam's Club.
Oh, no, they're independent.
They're independent. And so what happens is that Sam's Club and Costco, the truth of the matter, just like with Home Depot, they get a percentage of that sale. So they have their, so there's only so much of the piece of pie that goes around. So you take that piece of pie, right? Sam's Club, Costco, Home Depot, Lowe's is getting involved. They get a percentage of that.
I guarantee you there's some quotas, too. We
right.
need to sell so many of these systems a week.
and here's another thing. Some of the technology that's out there that's being sold for those high dollar amounts, their technology is over 35 years old.
Right.
There's a non-electric water softener out there that was invented during the space lab in 1969, 1970. Okay, they cannot re-engineer that control valve. So, there's a lot of illusions. They go out there and say, well, it has an 1.25 inch inlet and outlet. But what they don't tell you is they put an insert in that 1.25 inch inlet and outlet that matches your plumbing size. So it's really not 1.25 inch, but it's how they market it. Right. And anything that, with that, in that non-electric system, you have to have a pre-filter before it, because any kind of particle that gets inside is going to, mess up the gearing mechanism. Mm-hmm. So, I went with the Cloud Corporation out of Appleton, Wisconsin. It's over a 50-year-old. It's family-owned. They, I think they got the best, control valve in the market today. But more than that, again, I'm going to repeat myself. All water softeners work the same. It's how you basically apply that application. Now, is there some technological differences? Absolutely, there is. Okay. But the basic function is the same.
Right. It's Water Pros, 303-862-5554. We're going to hit our last break. Give them a call now for your free in-home water test. We'll be back with Paul the Waterman right after this.
Here's why you need personal injury attorney Kevin Flesh on your side. He understands the way the jury thinks.
In the context of a personal injury case, you've been hurt by someone else's negligence. The idea is that you're going to try to recover so that you can get back to where you were just prior to that incident occurring. What that really means from a jurist perspective is that you're going to be asking them to award you money. So when we talk about fairness, we're talking about 6 people that you don't know. Those 6 people view the evidence and make a unanimous decision that will decide what the fair value is. When you're the one who's hurt, you have a good idea of what you think it's worth. The question is, can you persuade those other individuals whom you don't know and were witnesses to believe that's what the case is worth? Kevin Flesh understands the way the jury thinks. Call now for a free consultation, 303-806-8886.
February is National Pet Dental Health Month. Hey, this is Scott Watley from my friends at Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center. As a part of their commitment to dental health for pets, Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center is offering a flash special of $50 off all dental cleanings during the month of February. Dental disease can cause tooth loss, bad breath, and pain. It can also lead to more serious health issues like heart disease and blood infections. Remember, a healthy mouth is a happy mouth. Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center has been taking care of our pets for over 20 years. Beat the rush and schedule your pet's dental today. Call 303-708-8050. That's 303-708-8050. Check out their blogs at lonetreevet.com.
You're listening to KLZ 560 AM, your home station.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Scott Watley. Paul the Waterman is with us. We appreciate you being with us. By the way, Paul will come out, again, free of charge, free in-home water test. And here's the thing, and I think you heard from Karen, lady did the testimonial in our second segment there. What did she say most? What set him apart was the education he brought to the water. Spent a lot of time with them explaining about their water, and that made the difference to her. That made a good system then, because Paul took the time to figure out what they needed and got them all fixed up. So, Paul, I know we've been doing a special here, so I want to recap that. And then I want to get into, it's just like anything else. I mean, can an oil change be advertised for a certain price? Yeah, but you know what? I bring in my diesel truck. It ain't that price on the coupon. You know what I mean? There are different scenarios for different homes that might get into something, and our goal here is to be as transparent, more transparent than any company.
No, I told you, transparency.
Let's talk about the
transparency
special.
is everything in life, Scott. I mean, it's called. It's like when you buy a home, right? You're relying on your realtors to basically full disclosure. So for $41.95, we have the Matrix. The Matrix is a multimedia system that uses KDF55 activated carbon and resin. It's ideal for people that live in town, that want to get rid of the high chlorine content, get rid of the forever chemicals, soften the water. The KDF55 and activated carbon will achieve that, and also the KDF55 is bacteria resistant. So you're at $41.95. We can do a reverse osmosis, 3-stage reverse osmosis. We call it, the Synergy Twist. It's a Clack product. That unit is on sale for $1,300 installed. That includes the sink drill and the separate faucet. Okay. Ultraviolet light filtration. A standard UV is to zap bacteria and viruses. If you live in a large home where you have 4 bathrooms, 6 bedrooms, you're going to want an ultraviolet light that can handle a minimum of 15 gallons per minute. So flow rate is very important. So if we did a 15 gallon per minute RO, we did the UV, and we did the Matrix, our price of that unit is $7,690 installed.
Okay.
So a lot of our competitors start out right around $8,000 just for a water softener.
For what you were $41.95.
Right.
Okay.
So if we did everything, now if you live in a smaller home, right, and a smaller home meaning you don't need the 15 gallon per minute UV, we do a 10 gallon per minute UV. So then that's a $300 discount. So now, and then if it's just 2 people and we don't need a large functioning reverse osmosis, meaning that the demand's not going to be there, that's another $200 discount. And if you want to do straight water softening, where water softening is something that's more important to you than any other filtration, then, you can do another $900 discount.
Okay.
So basically you can take $1,400 off that price, and you're going to be at, $6,290.
Right.
So, I mean,
like I say, I just wanted everybody to know. You may walk in, they go, "Well, you said that." Well, yeah, that's why I wanted to explain it in detail.
No, I totally see. So we can do a 30,000 grain 1 cubic foot water softener we have on sale for $3,200. So and again, our prices are very, very competitive. We can do 3/4 of a cubic foot water softener, for $2,500.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference between us and everybody else is that I'm not trying to come out and sell a cookie cutter situation. Right? We're not. We're basically would come out and do a free water test. And how many people? I'll ask this question: how many people do what we do right now? Is that we get on the radio, we talk about problem water, we want to make people aware of what's going on, and then don't have a problem giving prices over the air.
Yeah.
How many companies out there you're going to call and want a quote on the phone, and they want to send somebody out there?
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to give you a quote on the phone. They want to get that person out there, and they want that demonstration to sell the product. I don't mind getting prices over the phone. I know there's a lot of people. We've got phone calls, and I know what they're basically looking for a competitive quote. And I know sometimes that if we don't get that opportunity to sit down and talk to that person, I don't want them to be scared by a demonstration and someone come out and put these chemicals in the water and said, this is poison. Now, is water safe to drink? No. Do you need a filtration system? Yes. But you should never be in a situation where someone, is scaring you to the point where, there's some people, Scott, are spending $13,000 on filtration equipment.
Wow.
It's just a conventional water softener. Here's something else. If you get a company out there that wants to talk to you about water filtration and then wants to give you free soap to help pay for the product, what do you think that is?
Mm-hmm. Water Pros can help you. Hey, all our Castle Rock friends, I don't know if you're on the neighborhood app, but I'm telling you, if you're not, you ought to get it. And go through and see what everybody's saying about your water. Maybe in your area you're not smelling the chlorine or whatever, but it looks like it is huge in Castle Rock right now. So I hope you'll give Paul a call, 303-862-5554. And once again, free in-home water test. No, I want to say no high-pressure sale. There's no pressure in sales at all from Paul. He wants to come in, test your water, see what you need. He'll lay it out for you. If the timing is right now, great. If it's not, hey, you can give him a call at a future time. But he'll come out and take great care of you. And, Paul, it's a shame, got 2 minutes here, but it's a shame when you walk in a house, and, you said this through the years, you walk in and somebody spent whatever amount of money, but most of the time you've said, hey, it can be that $9,000 to $13,000, and that system sold to them was never going to accomplish what that home actually needed. And that's what burns me up.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. And a lot of it, we do our very best, especially when well water and problem water, we do our very best to get it right the first time. Sometimes does the water, expose a problem that was masked because of another, situation. But the point is, we're going to be there, we're going to fix it. And you have to understand, what problem water is and how to fix it. So the biggest issue, what happens, Scott, is when people on well water and you don't have enough flow rate, to backwash that filtration media, then it's never going to work. And that's the biggest issue. Or, we come in town and I've got people that, bought there's no such thing as a salt-free water softener. Or these items that they bought at on Home Depot, Costco, or online where you mount it on the wall and you wrap wires around the pipe. That's not going to soften the water.
Okay. Oh, Lord. Well, Paul, we appreciate it. And, again, shout out to Karen. Karen was
Thank you.
Awesome for coming on.
Hey, let me mention something real quick. I put an email together, Scott. If someone wants to email directly for the show, so okay. I can. It's Paul at paulthewaterman.com.
Okay.
So, that's basically an email that's designed for, if you have questions, reach out to me at paulthewaterman.com.
All right. We appreciate it. Paul, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being with us today for Water Talk. Hope you have a great rest of your day, great weekend. Give them a call. 303-862-5554. Get that cool, clean water in your home today. Thanks for being with us.
The views and opinions expressed on KLZ 560 are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of Crawford Broadcasting, the station, management, employees, associates, or advertisers. KLZ 560 is a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country station.